What's poppin'? So today's video will be reacting to another London video. Well, it's not in London. I would say it's a couple of hours away from London. And this is the Stonehenge. So it says the truth about Stonehenge. Henges? Not hedge, it's hinge. Either hedges or hinge. I think it's hinge. So this is gonna be more in depth about the Stonehenge. We're gonna see how this goes and
people's idea of Stonehenge is of a mystical and mysterious place filled with fog and chanting druids. The first part of that is pretty true, but that second bit about the druids, yeah, not so much. I'm Siobhan and this is Anglophilia. Stonehenge was built over many hundreds of years from the late Neolithic until the early Bronze Age. The stones were raised somewhere between 2400 and 2200 BCE, but the earthworks surrounding them had been there in some kind of shape or form almost 1,000 years before that. The Celts didn't move into Britain from mainland Europe until about 500 BCE. That means that there weren't any druids around until almost 2,000 years after Stonehenge was built. So it would have been an ancient monument even to the druids, which is pretty amazing. Who were the druids anyway? Well, these men served as priests in Celtic society during the Iron Age. Most of what we know about the druids comes from the writings of Britain's Roman invaders, so they're a bit unreliable. The druids were thought to carry out religious rituals, including human sacrifices, and they were really big into oak trees, like really into them. Where did this connection between Stonehenge and the druids come from? Well, it was first suggested by John Aubrey in the 1640s, but it was this guy, William Stukely, who really popularized the idea. Stukely was an 18th century antiquarian and a little bit eccentric. He was fascinated by Stonehenge and its surrounding area, which is covered in other strange ancient monuments. Now, to be fair, there is some logic to him assigning the building of Stonehenge to the Celts. If you look at historical sources, they are the first mentioned inhabitants of Great Britain. He was also the first person to notice that the standing stones were built to line up with the solstices. They were important dates in the Celtic calendar. There were also many theories about the building of Stonehenge circulating at that time, including that it was a Roman temple and that it was built by ancient giants. And there was a general fascination with druids, the occult, and other weird and mystical beliefs during this period. For example, Sir Isaac Newton, a friend of Stukely's, wrote extensively on biblical prophecy about the end of the world. But our friend Stukely really took it to the next level. He became
just by how this is all formed, it's really crazy, and it's crazy how it happened in the BC era, not like usually they'll say, oh, 18 something or 17 something or 15 something. It's more like BC. So it's like before technology was here, before cars, like this is how it was put up. Interesting, very interesting.
At the point where he built a druidic garden behind his house, he started doing rituals at Stonehenge, and he even started signing his name Archdruid Kindernax. He wrote an elaborate work published in 1740 called Stonehenge, a temple restored to the British Druids, in which he laid out all of his ideas. Now, there was some good archaeology in there, but most of it was pretty crazy. But when you repeat nonsense enough times, somehow it has a way of sticking. You know, kind of like viral videos. Oh, I'm going to ask you this later, but please share this on Facebook. The real builders of Stonehenge remain fairly mysterious, although researchers at the University of Sheffield have done some pretty great excavations there recently. Some of the stones were brought all the way from Wales. Wales! That's hundreds of miles away over very unwelcome, hilly terrain. And remember, these people hadn't even invented the wheel. Man, I am glad I have the internet so I can just fill my time with stuff. So that's where the connection between Stonehenge and the Druids comes from. One man's obsession with an ancient religion turned into an idea so universally accepted that it's almost always taken as fact. There are even modern day Druids who have adopted Stonehenge as a holy site. What other British myths should I explore? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.
So yeah guys, that is the video of the truth about the Stonehenge. I think I said it right. I have to say, very interesting because when I went there, like I said in my last video, I went to London, England, and one of the places we went to was the Stonehenge. And it was very, I was like, I mean, it was, don't get me wrong, it was nice, you know, something different in history. But for me, as a 17-year-old at the time, I thought it was boring. I wanted to be in the city, I wanted to, you know, go do stuff. So We were only there for like 30 minutes, kind of whack for 3 or 4 hours, but hey man, it's something you can see. You're never gonna go back there, honestly. Maybe I'll go back there in the future, but when we were there, they didn't, I mean, he did explain to us about the Stonehenge, but not like how she did it. She went in depth about it and how they built it, how long it took, and when they did it. He kind of told us when, but then he just explained a whole, you know, behind it, like, oh yeah, for this and for that. I'm like, all right, like, what about how they make it? How was it there? And I think when he told me how it got there was something so like random, like rocks fell, and then they like left it there from the sky. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. The guy was explaining really weird. He was a nice guy, but he wasn't explaining the whole Stonehenge thing. And more than half of us falling asleep. Like 5 in the morning to get there. But no, it's very interesting that it started in the BC era, and then just by how they had to make it, they had to travel stone all the time. Took them like a while. And then I think now they have events like once a month or once every few months. They have like certain events that honor the Stonehenge, if I'm correct on that. And yeah guys, that is the video of the Stonehenge. I think I said it right. Again, I'm not sure. And see you guys video. Peace.